everybody, it's Beth Demon here for our weekly San Diego Brewers Guild Instagram Happy Hour at Home. Thank you for joining us. As always, we do this every week from 3 o'clock to about 4 o'clock just to see how breweries are handling adjusted operations during COVID-19, during protests, and just as some restrictions relax and we're all able to start going out a little bit more, and how we can best support the beer community. So first off, happy Pride Month to all of everybody within and in alliance with the LGBT community here in San Diego. We had hoped to have Hillcrest Brewing Company on this week, but they had a last minute schedule issue, so we'll try to get them on again in a future week. So that bad news, that means we are only going to have three guests on this week, but the good news is they are all awesome. We're going to have Laura Ulrich from the Pink Boot Society as well as Stone Brewing. We're going to have Nick Corona from the newest brewery to join the Brewers Guild here in San Diego, Five Suits Brewing. And then we're going to wrap things up with George Thornton from Home Brewing Company in North Park. Home Brewing Company as well as the home brewer, so one of the best and only, but also one of the best homebrewing stores in San Diego. So before we get started, let me just make sure I've got my list. I guess we can all eat and drink in breweries and tap rooms again, which is kind of crazy to think about. I don't know if I'm super ready to do that, but things are starting to open back up again, and, still maintaining social distancing and wearing masks and things like that. So it'll be really interesting to see how things change week to week, although we're super used to that, obviously, as the last 3 months have shown us. Every week is different than the last. If you, like me, are running low on masks, I think I only have 2 that I've been rotating for months on end, which is ridiculous. The Brewers Guild has actually added some masks to the merch section of the website. So be looking for those, sdbeer.com. And, we've mentioned in the past that there are new shirts and new swag and things like that that have been added to the store to help support the San Diego beer community. So now we have masks, which is great. Before we get too far, as always, I need to make sure that I add the pin the comment of what we're doing, the happy hour at home. Thank you for bearing with me. It always takes me just a second. And we will make sure that gets pinned so that as people continue to join, they will know what they are watching. Perfect. A couple other things. So I did mention that the Brewers Guild now offers masks as part of the merch. But a couple other things that we can, that I'm looking forward to. Last week we had Dr. Q on, and he told us about the Three Punks and Chula Vista Brewery collaboration that they're going to be doing, a fruited Berliner Weiss, and that is going to be accompanied by a town hall on Zoom, with the proceeds for that beer going towards our local ACLU. So as more breweries are coming out with their announcements for participating in the Black is Beautiful collaboration, I think I saw that there's like over 750 breweries worldwide from every state participating in that, which is going to be awesome. There are some other local and regional movements moving forward to so keep your eye out for some of those too, so we can help support San Diego beer and our community at large. And speaking of Chula Vista Brewery, they, now that Thunderhawk has closed, are the only Black-owned brewery in San Diego, and they got basically attacked by trolls this week. I don't know if everybody saw that, but a bunch of people were leaving really nasty fake reviews about them, which is obviously terrible. So if you have a moment, please do go out of your way to leave some good reviews, which they totally deserve for Chula Vista Brewery. Write a good one for them. Make it a point to grab some beers from them this week, some growlers, some cans, anything that you can, just to show them some support and show them that the San Diego, they have a very valued place here in the San Diego beer community, and that we really appreciate everything that they do for the South Bay and beyond. So anyway, let's all support Chula Vista Brewery and don't let the trolls let them have the last word. I'm actually not drinking a beer today because I've just had a bit of a week and I'm taking it easy. So I will just be drinking my water, which is a little bit lame for our Brewers Guild live stream, but there you have it. So I have no guided tasting notes to tell you guys, but I'm sure if I was drinking San Diego beer, it would have been amazing, whatever it is. As far as resources go, before we get started, by now, pretty much everybody is in a different state of open. I'm not sure that there are any breweries that are still fully closed. There might be. It's been really hard to keep track of them, and 3B Zine, the Beer Night in San Diego podcast, has done a phenomenal job keeping track of all those, as has the San Diego Brewers Guild. So as of now, I think some are still just doing to go. Some have opened for just drinking on premises, because as of last Friday, you no longer have to, you don't have to get food to drink on site. But like I said earlier, things change every single day. Just be sure to check your brewery's social media for the latest information if you're thinking about heading to a particular place, because that's really going to be the only way that you know where everybody is at. And no matter what, wash your hands, bring your mask, social distance, drink safely, and I am definitely looking forward to getting back into a brewery to enjoy some beers with friends within, arm's length or two. But we'll see how it goes, and hopefully everybody is able to do it responsibly, and everybody can stay open, and we can get through this. But if you are curious about local, regional, or statewide mandates and how they are changing, or the mandates that are getting passed down by the government, be sure to check out the Brewers Association. That's going to be nationwide, brewersassociation.org. For California specifically, it's going to be the California Craft Beer Association, so californiacraftbeer.com. And of course, this being the San Diego Brewers Guild, it will be sdbeer.com, and that'll be the best local information for you to find out about. I also encourage you to sign up for the newsletter, as well as check out the merch that they have put together, because it's going to be a great way to support San Diego beer even from your home. Before I bring on, we are going to have Laura first. Excellent. Before I bring on Laura, I do just want to mention, as always, this is interactive. If you have a question or a comment, please do feel free to toss it up there, and we will get to as many of them as we possibly can. If you would like to participate either this week or in a future week, please do let us know. You can send us a message here. You can comment here, anything like that. I don't think we've had any repeat people. This is probably, our like 13th or 14th week or something like that. So if you would like to come on here and discuss what is happening in your brewery or tap room, please do. We would love to hear from you and get as many voices representing San Diego beer on here as possible. So without further ado, I think I saw you pop on here, Laura, and we will make sure, because I know you're at work right now, so we'll make sure we get you out of here not too late. All right. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for coming on today. I know that you are at work.
I am.
So,
I'm at work.
Hi, Stone.
Hi.
So, quick intro, who you are and what you do.
So I'm Laura Ulrich. I'm a small batch brewer for Stone Brewing. I've been here for ever and a day, 16 years. And I'm also the president of Pink Boot Society, the national organization, not the local chapter.
Yes, and I think is it true that San Diego isn't the largest chapter anymore, but we're the most active or something?
So San Diego's the most active, for sure. Mm-hmm. I think that between them and Boston, they kind of teeter back and forth depending on however many members they have, but mm-hmm. definitely San Diego is the most active, with, especially since COVID hit. They've been the most active with making sure that they connect with their members. They've been doing twice a week Zoom calls, and so it's like a check-in to make sure that everyone's kind of sane and connected, and talking to everybody about what's going on and what's not going on, and discussing about how they're supporting local and how some of the women had been laid off, and so kind of supporting them with how we can move forward. So
yeah,
it's been cool.
Yeah, it's been super cool. Well, I mean, talking about Stone in particular, you guys are one of, obviously the biggest breweries in San Diego. So there's going to be a level of infrastructure there that is going to be a lot different than some of the smaller breweries around town. Could you talk a little bit about how Stone has had to figure things out, while things were closed? Now they're reopening slowly but surely. How have things been going there operations-wise?
So we've been in full production mode since the shutdown. I think they had like a slowdown essentially, but packaging had to pivot hard, right? They all, draft was no longer a thing, so they focused heavily on bottles and then can sales. So not only did packaging step up to the plate, but also scheduling and the sales team and all those folks involved with all that fun stuff that I'm not a part of, but I just know that we pivoted really hard, and we're lucky that nobody in production was let go. We kind of kept full staff, kept full range moving forward. I know that our bistros obviously took a hit. They are open, so I highly recommend checking them out. We have a new menu as well with some new highlights that we're focusing on. Highly recommend a reservation as well too. So I'm going Thursday to Liberty Station. They just opened this week. I'm really excited to see what's going on down there and just to check it out. But in the sense that we did a great job of focusing on just as easy as we had to pivot and how to focus. I think we did an excellent job just kind of maneuvering. We have the luxury to do that, right? I know a lot of breweries don't. But I guess a lot of smaller breweries that have canning lines are able to bring in cans and create amazing labels if they have the ability, where we're kind of, I think, on a larger scale is a little bit more planned out. And so for pivoting in that sense, I think they did a really excellent job. And again, both breweries here in Richmond are fully functioning, and we're cranking out a lot of beer. We are back up to like normal amounts now, and then we're also starting to keg a bunch of beer. So things are looking really good at this moment.
That is awesome. Well, we do have a question that I think Estella asked. I have to get used to your new username, Estella. She says, what positive changes have you seen from breweries to help women get more involved during COVID?
Okay, well, so is it during COVID or during this whole social injustice uprising that we've taken place? I mean, I don't think it has.
Talk about that.
I don't think it has anything to do with COVID. I think unless people got, stir crazy in COVID and they decided that it was time to say F it and move on.
Right.
So for particular, I know that Stone, we've been actually working the last several months before the whole social injustice thing started. We've been working on a women's network to kind of help with leadership, to kind of connect the women of Stone. We have a very small amount of women. I'm going to throw out some numbers. I'm probably going to get in trouble by HR, but whatever. We started only with 26% of our staff, and that's including restaurants. And then as soon as we had the layoff come because of the restaurants, we went down to 16%. And so I think at that time, before this, leadership's been trying to focus on how do we bring more women in? What do we need to do? How do we need to look more valuable? What are we missing? And so they brought a handful of us on. And so we've started a women's network, and we've been in the early stages of developing the mission and the value statement and the presentation, and essentially trying to figure out what it is we want to do for the women. So we're bringing on speakers. We've got some happy hour connections that we're planning, but can't do that until we can actually have happy hour in front of people.
Yeah.
So then on top of the social injustice, we are really excited that we are participating in Black is Beautiful beer. I'm so thrilled that we're going to be doing that. I'm looking forward to it. But we're also, I think it really forced the hand of upper management to say, what are we doing and what are we not doing, and how do we be better supporters and allies, and how do we open our eyes to make sure everything is moving in the right direction. So, but on top of that, Pink Boots had to do the same thing, where, I know that I reached out to you saying, hey, we're a nonprofit. We have to be very careful what we say, because we don't want to put anything into jeopardy, but we also want to support, our Black people and our women of color and everything. We want to be supportive. And so we realized, well, we weren't making a statement that was political. We were making a statement that just needed to be said. And so what we are doing internally for Pink Boots is we're also looking at our board and trying to find diversity inside of our board. So 2021, we're hoping to bring on people of color. We're hoping to bring on some educational components where we have women of color to speak about these injustices, and also open a platform where that's like an open space where you can say whatever you want. However rude or insulting you might think it is, you can say it and have it answered appropriately so we know how to move forward. We were talking to one of the women that we're kind of vetting to be a speaker, and I said, I remember growing up, I mean, I'm an old lady, but I remember growing up, you were never allowed to ask race, right? That was never like a thing. And now it's like, no, we need to be asking those questions. And even we as membership for Pink Boots, we don't ask that question. So we don't know what our members look like because all we see is a name, or whoever we see in person. So we need to take a deeper look in how do we be better about asking those questions that are really valid, really important, but also you don't want to offend anybody, but then come to find out we're missing a whole segment and we need to bring them into the fold.
So have you seen any overlap between Stone's efforts and Pink Boots just by virtue of your connection with both, or have they kind of remained separate? Have you been able to bring some of that Pink Boots influence into Stone and vice versa?
I've been doing, so everything that I've been doing for Pink Boots, I kind of funnel off to Stone saying, hey, I don't know what you guys are all thinking, but this is what we're kind of leaning to, and these are the people we're speaking to, and just kind of vetting it that way, saying, it's up to them to make the ultimate decision, right? I can't force the hand for Stone, but I definitely can force the hand for Pink Boots. And so I'm saying this is what we're doing, and then they've had an open source with me saying, well, if we come up with anything, we'll also share it with you. So I'm hoping as things kind of settle down, for Pink Boots, we didn't want to be reactionary. We really wanted to look at this as a strategic way and think of how we can be better for the members in the long run and not just make a reaction in the immediate that doesn't have long-term effect.
Yeah.
For the longest time, as a woman in the brewing industry and as a woman on the production floor at Stone for 105,000 days, I always felt that it was like, well, if women see me in production, if women see me, it won't be a big deal. And I think that that's where I was personally missing. I have to go beyond that. It's not just a matter of seeing me. It's a matter of knowing what I do. It's knowing what the other women in production do. It's a matter of making the connection and really showing validity at how to be a brewer, why being a brewer is valid, why being a brewer is really cool, and why anybody of any color should want to do it, specifically women of like all colors. Like, I don't know how to make it. I feel like I was failing Pink Boots because I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, how is it that I'm just like, I'm still here? Why aren't you all here? So I don't know.
Well, and I think having those conversations that you mentioned, like we didn't talk about race, or people were confused, like, should I say African American or Black? Should we talk about how much we are paid and be aware of discrepancies there possibly? And I think that this, the culture and the conversations that are happening now are saying none of those conversations are rude. They are transparent. They are honest. And you can only make change once you are aware of the problem. And you can't make any decision with partial information. So now that we're all sharing, and breweries, a lot of times they did the black square, but now they're being challenged to say, what actionable steps are you taking in the future to continue this initiative a week from now, a month from now, a year from now? You can't just say, oh, this is great and we stand with you, and then make no internal changes. So I respect that, yeah.
Well, and that was my biggest concern, was when Pink Boots was getting hit really hard, people were like, your silence is looking really negative to us. And it's like, well, we want to be able to say something, but we also want to be able to say something that's long-term. I did not want it to come as a reaction. And I told the women in San Diego chapter, like, I got on one of their Zoom calls, I was like, you don't understand how hard it is, because you're also putting something out there, and you don't want to make a mistake. And I went on our Instagram and totally screwed it up. I was like, and you have to realize that we have to deal with that as well. Like, I owned up to my mistake, but you get hit really hard on social media. And if you're not really, me personally, I'm not really good at it, and I should never do it. You put yourself out there in a vulnerable spot, and you're like, this is how we stand. Like, I don't even know why we're being questioned on this. But then again, it wasn't a matter of us being questioned on it. It was like we needed to show support, and we needed to show that we wanted to, in effect, make change.
Yeah.
And we can only make change together. And like I said to the women in San Diego as well, there are 9 people on the national board. You can't expect 9 people to change the mountains, change the world in like 2 weeks. We need the help. We need the support. We're a volunteer organization, and we have the voice of our members, but we also need our members to support us and show us their voice.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's great that you are making, a specific push to get more diverse voices, more Black women, more women of color onto the board and talk about things like diversity and injustice, but then also take them for their expertise and just say, you're a Black brewer. Just talk about brewing. You don't have to only talk about these things, and we're going to empower you to discuss every aspect of the brewing industry. And just first, you have to normalize it. Like you were saying, you were just a woman in the brew house, and you're like, I'm here. Why isn't anybody else here? But then you embrace it, and you open the door for those next people, and it'll be really exciting to see how a women organization like Pink Boots, as well as a large organization like Stone, is able to change with the times, hopefully for the better. And I think we're on the right path in both of those respects.
I think we are. I definitely think we are.
Awesome.
And I'm drinking a Stone IPA since you're drinking water.
I know, I'm such a dork, but maybe I'll have like a Pilsner or something later, but
maybe, that's all right.
Maybe. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. Can you just do a quick, where can we find everything Pink Boots, San Diego, as well as National and Stone?
So Pink Boots can be found national, pinkbootsociety.org. And then we also have Facebook pages you can follow. Same for the San Diego Pink Boots page. It's just San Diego Pink Boots. Stone, you can find stonebrewing.com. We're everywhere. Instagram, Twitter. I mean, it's Stone. Look for the gargoyle.
We'll find the gargoyle and Greg's smiling face.
And Greg's face, yes. Always look for Greg's face. I think it's right there, too.
Oh, it is. I must have sensed it. So, well, it was great
Awesome.
chatting with you, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Beth. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Laura Ulrich from the Pink Boots Society, as well as Stone Brewing. So since we do have one fewer guest this week, I am probably just going to allow everybody a couple extra minutes. So I appreciate Nick and George, if you're on here already, I appreciate your patience as we just kind of flex with the times a little bit to make sure that we are able to cover as much as possible and give our wonderful viewers as good of a show as we always strive to. So now we are going to go to the brand newest brewery in San Diego, Five Suits. We're going to talk to Nick, and I am going to find you. I think I saw you on here earlier. Maybe I don't see you right now. Where did you go? Oh, there you are. Hello, Five Suits Nick. I'm just going to take a wild guess that that's you. Okay. Hello.
There I am. I'm done.
There are, in all of your mustachioed glory.
It's horrible. It's horrible. The beauty is normally everywhere I go, I've got my mask on, so you got something no one else can.
That is very, I feel like we're back in Movember, but it's, it's like Christmas in July, Movember and June.
That's right. That's right. It's a little bit of COVID chaos going on.
I love it. Well, let's do a quick intro to our viewers, who you are and who you represent.
Yeah, I am Nick Corona. I've been a home brewer for not too long. 2012 was when I first got excited about craft beer, and I started home brewing the very next day. I had I call it a Maharaja moment, but I fell in love with Maharaja, and the next day I wanted to find out how to brew beer. Went on a tangent with brewing, and then I knew I wanted to open a brewery eventually. So we just started Five Suits Brewing this year. And we kind of fell into the purchase of Barrel Harbor and Vista, and pushing forward, trying to get the tasting room up and running. Just had our first release this past week.
So it's funny that you started homebrewing in 2012 and now you've opened a brewery, because I also started homebrewing in 2012 and I did the exact opposite. I stopped homebrewing in 2012 because the first one I ever did, I will never forget, it was August 12th, 2012, and I did a blackberry IPA, and it was maybe the worst beer I ever had until my second beer, which was a rosemary saison, which is definitely the worst beer I've ever had.
Nice. You're supposed to go the other way. You're supposed to get better with each beer.
Yeah, no, it was terrible, and I had no temperature control, and I was just like, if I'm going to clean this much, I'm just going to clean my own house and buy the beer myself. So my husband stuck with it for a couple more years, and then we sort of both just gave up. But
Nice.
to all the long-term homebrewers, I respect you so much.
It is a fun moment. It is fun home brewing. It was funny because I actually had a point where I had reached and I had brewed a bunch of bad beer. And I said to myself, either you better stop right now or you better really figure this thing out. So
Yes.
that was my moment.
Well, I'm very excited that you went with the second route and decided to pursue it. So tell me a little bit about Five Suits, just the brand, your vision, a little history, and what we can expect. Now that you're open in these bizarre times.
Yeah, we're quasi open right now. It's only just for releases each time we get a beer that's ready to go. We've been put back on our tasting room. COVID really put some delays on everything, but it's fun and rolling with it. But as far as our brand is concerned, it's interesting because we've got so much conversation going on with diversity right now, and I've worked in the casino industry for quite some time, so we are incredibly diverse. I mean, in the casino side, from any walk of life comes to the casino, and whether you gamble or you just like buffets or you like to go play poker, there's all kinds of different people involved, and we kind of wanted to do what we could to attract as many different bits of clientele and people who would be interested in not just strictly going to like a warehouse brewery. Setting an ambiance. We came from Las Vegas. That's where I met my wife, and we loved the nightlife in Las Vegas. She was a and so she used to love putting on the showgirl outfits and getting up on stage and doing all the shows and everything. And so we wanted to bring a little bit of that to San Diego and have that be a part of our tasting room, and just bring a tad bit of the gambling, but try to stay a little bit clear of that. So the brand is just all about diversity, trying to cater to as many people as we can and create something new and fresh that you probably haven't seen before.
So if you're trying to appeal to as many people as you can, how many hazies do you have on right now?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's say the first one I put out was a haze. I didn't say hazy. We called it opening night haze. It's basically an unfiltered IPA, so it's not incredibly turbid. That is the only one that I've done at this point. I like clarity. I like classic styles of beer. That was what I got into with home brewing, was trying to get as good as I can with every single style of beer that I was brewing. So I'm some of that to our mix. Right now we've got a Vienna lager, we've got an American stout that we're going to have two versions of. It's going to be a vanilla and coconut stout. We've got a Hefeweizen, which is tasting phenomenal right now, and I'm so stoked because that beer is like my bread and butter. We've got an American IPA and a Smash Pale Ale, and then, of course, that unfiltered IPA. So those are some of the ones that we all have going on right now. Diversity in beer styles is going to be important to me, but we also need to stay in business, so we might have a few hazies.
Talk to me about the Smash Pale Ale, because I love a Smash Pale Ale. What are you using for it?
We went Golden Promise.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's such a tasty sweet malt. I love it. And then we just went Mandarin and Bavaria.
So it's going to be really good, is what you're saying.
That's right. You got it.
Excellent. Well, I personally love a good coconut beer. I know that Brian Beagle strongly disagrees with me, but that sounds like his problem, and I will be there to try the lot, I suppose.
Well, Brian can have the base version without the coconut and vanilla, and then you can have coconut and vanilla.
That sounds fine to me. So are you guys doing, is it mostly draft with growlers? Do you have cans, growlers? How can we get your stuff?
We were going to go 100% draft and just really focus on getting the tasting room up and running, create some type of great place for people to come interact and socialize. And the world has changed. So the first thing we did, we ordered a can seamer for growlers and a pallet of growlers. We have some growlers, but we haven't started selling them all. Right now we're focusing on filling growlers for the beer releases as they come up until we're able to get our tasting room up. And even when we get our tasting room up and running, we really want to slow things down, take a look at some of the other breweries that have already fortunately kind of played the troubleshooting game with different procedures and policies, and then try to do our best to marry up with that and create a safe place for people to come. But for now, everything's going to be growlers.
Well, with a big diversity of styles like that you were mentioning, how big is your brew system?
The brew system, the brew house itself is 10 barrels, and then we've got 5 10-barrel fermenters and 2 20, so 90-barrel fermentation space at any one.
So that's a decent size for, a first go at things. I mean, that sounds great. Did you have to dial that back kind of when COVID started hitting, or are you pretty much just full steam ahead as expected?
Yeah, that was part of that balancing act that we've had to do. We keep going back and forth with a lot of things, but everything transitioned right away from
Mm-hmm.
what's important, and now all of a sudden what isn't important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we started focusing more on just getting the beers. Like Vienna Lager was one that was going to probably wait on a little bit, but I
Mm-hmm.
figured it in tanks for a while. Um, we pushed back our brew schedule because we were going to go pretty vigorous on filling the tanks and getting everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of changed our calendar and set back some of the brew dates so that we can start to slowly. This wasn't really in the plans to have these weekly or bi-weekly beer releases, but
Right.
it actually worked out better for us because we can slow down that brewing schedule and push things back a week here, a week there, and then
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gives us an opportunity to keep the excitement going with just the to-go orders, and then the rest of the tasting room will fall into place as the beers come too.
So, do you guys have any like grand opening? Not being able to predict the future and what we're able to, physically do. But do you have any grand opening plans or hopes or dates or anything like that?
We're still hoping to have, I guess, as grand an opening as you could hope for, given
Right.
the distancing thing. We still want to do some live entertainment. Thankfully, we're in
Mm-hmm.
Georgia where they allow that. So we want to have a Rat Pack band. The theme is kind of like Rat Pack era, 60s, 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But everything's changing now. So we're reevaluating the parking spaces out front for more
Yeah.
seating, which we had never even fathomed.
Right.
And space in the back. So we'll put something together, and the most important thing for us really is going to be creating a safe environment for everyone. I know
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different I guess degrees of people's concern when it comes to these things, and you can upset
Mm-hmm.
people who don't want to wear masks. But then if you have people not wearing masks, it's going to upset people who are really taking this thing seriously. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of the conversation, and we just sit down every chance we get and really try to hash it out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like the timing is good for us right now because we can kind of sit back and really start taking notes on what's effective, what's upsetting people, and what isn't upsetting people. So we'll walk that as cautiously as we can, but that's
Mm-hmm.
the main focus, is just a safe, comfortable atmosphere for people.
So, one last question before we have to let you go. How many beers are you expected to have on at any given time once you do open?
We will definitely have 6 beers right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I expect us, once we are able to get kind of a barometer on what our demand is,
Mm-hmm.
we should have a minimum of 10
Okay.
beers. Yeah.
Yeah, solid offering. So, where can people keep up with everything Five Suits on social media?
Fivesuits.com. We're updating our website the best of our ability with each beer release that comes up. But then we also social media. You've got Instagram, Five Suits Brewing, and then Facebook, like our page there. For right now, we're not really posting any hours on Google or any of that information.
Yeah.
We're just tapping into our organic followers, and we're just sharing the new beer releases coming up on Instagram and then on Facebook.
Okay, so follow you and stay tuned. Best advice.
That's right. Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was great to chat with you, and hopefully we'll see you IRL soon. Mask or no mask. I don't know.
That's right. This mustache might not be there very long.
Fair enough. Okay. Well,
Thank
take
you.
care and have a good rest of your Wednesday. Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, that was Nick from Five Suits, and we are going to wrap things up with George at the Home Brewer, if he is on right now. I know that we went over a little bit, and I really appreciate that he was able to accommodate that. And so I actually don't see him on here, which is not great because George, you stood me up once already. So hopefully you aren't doing that again today, because that would be really sad, and this would be a very bad week to do that, because we already had somebody drop off like 2 seconds beforehand. George, I feel like I'm gonna need to. I would text you, but I'm on my phone, so I can't. So you know what? Thanks everybody for bearing with me as we just deal with some unexpected speed bumps. I'm gonna pull up my my little message app and see if he can join us, because I would love to talk to George, who is one of my absolute favorite people in the whole world, and also San Diego beer. So let's see. George, will you be joining us today? George. Hey, come on. Do a live stream, please. We are waiting. Oh, you know what? We'll see. Anyway, we'll see. While we are waiting, and he hopefully does join us, I do have some trivia in my back pocket. So everybody knows that Jacques Cousteau is the famous underwater explorer, but did you know that he originally wanted to be an astronaut? I knew that, but that's the only thing I have. The last beer I drank, I had the Dos Desperados Hazy Daisy Hazy IPA. That's the last beer that I drank, and it was very kind because Ian Cheeseman brought it to me because I had a bit of a rough week, and he brought me a little beer care package, and I appreciated that. And I think I also have an Abnormal Czech Pilsner in that package. And what else did he bring me? He brought me a triple IPA, which is a little bit intense. But, well, you know what? George Thornton, I don't know where you are. We might just have to cut this like super early today because everybody's bailing. Unless Stella wants to come on again, which I always like talking to you, but otherwise we might need to just call it for the day and just keep it a short Wednesday, which is understandable. How do I feel about St. Bernardus? Oh, I mean, obviously very good. So my husband jokes that if he were to he wants to get the monk tattooed on him, but I don't know. I guess he should. That would be funny. Okay, well, I think I'm not just going to monologue for, 10 minutes in hopes that he comes on here. I guess we're just going to have to kick it a little early this week. But yes, Estella, you are absolutely right. I did beat Ian Cheeseman by 4 points in my BJCP tasting exam, and I win, and I'm a great beer judge, and I'm forever the best. Okay, well, hi everybody. I'm so glad that people are joining us. I'm so sorry that we're going to cut this a little bit early today because a few people had to drop out, but it was amazing talking to Laura from the Pink Boots Society as well as Stone, and I do have some information just to wrap things up. The Brewers Guild is going to be putting together, the Inclusion Committee is putting together a Tap into Knowledge informational session about recognizing and dismantling unconscious bias as it pertains to beer. So I think that that'll be a really good thing for brewery owners and managers and employees, especially HR people, to participate in when that does get launched. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of weeks. We are putting together still a toolkit, a diversity and inclusion toolkit for breweries to help them. And there is going to be a very good, you know what, let me pull this up really fast, because there's going to be a really good talk on, her handle is on Twitter, it's Tony Two Pint, and she is a really great beer writer, and I believe she was formerly at New Belgium, but she's going to be putting together a talk on Saturday, the 20th at noon our time. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, and everybody's been so great about bearing with me. It's on Fermentum PR. It's about, I will just make sure I've got the info right. It is going to be a webinar and live Q&A with Tony Boyce this Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, so noon our time, about crafting an authentic message around social issues on behalf of your brewery. So if you don't know where to start or are confused or afraid to make a statement about, any of the protests or anything that have been going on or some of those hard conversations, please tune in. If you go to fermentumpr.com, you should be able to find a link and sign up for that webinar that will take place this Saturday. It will be, identifying your brand as an agent of change, communicating a message effectively to the target audience, how to do so authentically. And anyway, it should be really great. Tune into that. Oh my gosh, George, you made it. We are going to pop you on really quick then, just to let you. I forgive you. I forgive you, George. You're late to the party, but that's okay.
Hey.
We almost missed you.
Did we?
Yes. We almost
Okay. Hi.
Hi. How's it going? What you doing? Where are you?
Good. We're making messes. We're picking up messes and all of that.
Okay. Well, let's do a little background intro, who you are and where you are.
Cool. I'm George, the owner of Home Brewing Company and the Home Brewer. So part homebrew store, part tasting room and brewery here in North Park, San Diego.
So remind me, I don't remember the year that you opened the Home Brewer, but it was a million years ago.
Yeah, the Home Brewer was 2012, like February 2012.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's just, I looked at the store and I'm like, I wish that I took more pictures when you first opened because it looks completely different. And now you've got the tasting room. Yeah. It's just wild.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, I was going through, because during all this, we redid almost everything again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going through some old photos and was like, wow, we changed every 2 years. So it's pretty cool.
Well, so now people can come drink there, just drink there, right? Like as of last Friday?
Legally they could, but we're not doing it yet.
Got it.
We're in part because the can of worms that we opened is still all over the place.
Right.
And then in part because we just want to tiptoe towards it and keep our eye on everything else.
Not necessarily the first wave of figuring it out.
Yeah, and we're pretty small, and the store itself, as far as people going back and getting supplies, we'll probably keep doing that ourselves for people, and then trying to figure out how to open up the tasting room side so someone can grab a pint while they wait for us to get their stuff for them. But we don't have a lot of room for proper social distancing, so
yeah. Did you see any
tiptoe.
change in terms of people homebrewing more or less? Did it kind of remain the same when all this kind of started happening?
Definitely more.
A lot more.
We had a lot of regular customers that we hadn't seen in a long time who were like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to do now, so I've been waiting for this opportunity, and not this opportunity per se, but not these circumstances, but so we had a lot of that, and then so that was really cool. The hardest part was we had all these new people who wanted to get into the hobby, and it was talking on the phone or emailing with them, trying to explain all those things that we usually do in person, and that that was the part that I missed the most, was the newcomers and explaining to them how to do it face to face.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll change soon.
Well, and you guys do so many classes and things like that, the hands-on and really letting people figure out, you're guiding them into this journey of homebrewing. So I imagine that this educational component is probably, a fun, but also big part of your business. You guys were doing classes all the time.
Yeah, we did classes every week almost, and so that's a bummer to miss, and who knows when we'll be back to what that looks like, because again, we've never really had the space to really spread people out and have for us 10 to 15 people is is a pretty cozy class.
Yeah.
And so it's that'll be kind of, it's on the list of things to do, but it'll get there.
Yeah, not the highest thing on the list of things to do.
Yeah.
Well, how's brewing? Because I mean, I know that you guys have a pretty small system there. I mean, I'm assuming you had to scale back, but have things been able to ramp up a little bit more? Or is it still a little bit pulled back from normal operations?
A little bit of both. Um, the overall like beer side of our business definitely is lower,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been able to brew a few batches, and then some we've just done. Like we've been experimenting and just kind of trying to have fun on the system.
Mm-hmm.
I brewed my first like just for fun without teaching anybody else at the same time homebrew batch for
Mm-hmm.
the first time in like 5 years. That was really exciting.
Yeah. Would you
I made a dark mild because
make more, please?
yeah, well, I wish everybody would want to buy those because we would make them all the time. So we try to make one like a year, and people love them when they're on. Like people who know them, they're like so excited.
I was gonna say
And
I
then you,
think
but
make milds there, so
yeah, we have to hand sell it to like everybody, which is fine. That's part of the job, right?
yeah.
But it's compared to like when you put a double hazy IPA on, you're like, well, apparently we can't just always have a dark mild on. So
I mean, I guess, but I do, especially now. You got to kind of make it like what's gonna get out the door. So, how can the beer community help support you right now? Like, what's the best way that we can make sure that your lights stay on and your doors stay open?
get into homebrewing and buy growlers.
By growlers, I'm so glad you didn't say by growlers because, man, I really, really thought 2020 was the year that they were going to go extinct, and I was way off.
Yeah, well, they definitely made a comeback. Like we've been filling growlers. I know, but we do an extra like Sandy step on it,
Yeah.
and I think people know like not to bring in their really dirty growler, and then we do our best to limit like our contact with it.
Mhm.
But definitely more growler sales than we had in 2019. Probably like all of like April,
Yeah,
right?
I would say probably like since 2015, like
Basically, yeah.
and I was way off, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, but like gift cards are great. I think people just like sharing our content with people as well, and checking out the website. We've got that pretty much finally, more or less, finely tuned to
Mhm.
to be comparable to like the other major online retail homebrew supply shops.
Yeah.
Our goal has always been to just get all the homebrewers in San Diego to buy supplies from a local supplier.
Yeah.
I think we have some work to do there to like earn that, but that's where people can help us get there, is just kind of keeping us around.
Well, what
But-
are some of the beers that you have on right now?
So right before this, we actually had all the tanks full, like just the week prior to all of this. So we had a few come out pretty fresh, and then we brewed a few more. So right now we have the Pink Boots blend on tap, which is a cool like sour IPA that's just like loaded with all the Pink Boots blend at Whirlpool. That's really nice. And we have like a fresh batch of Sharks with Lasers, which is like the staple IPA of ours.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some, just like 14 beers on right now. So some fun like Belgian stuff, and we are about to keg a fresh Pilsner, and we have like a hazy like sessionable IPA, kind of like pale ale territory, that we're putting back on tap. No dark mild because I drank all of it
I mean, that's fair.
like every day. Yeah, it was delicious.
What was the
Yeah,
ABV?
you guys missed out. It was 3.8.
I was gonna guess 3.4. Also,
Pretty good.
4% or below. I'm pretty into it.
Yeah, that's like 2 for lunch.
Yeah, and
You're
it's
good.
still fine.
Yeah.
So where can people like find everything? Homebrew Co. to keep up with you and make sure you're open and everything like that, like all your social handles.
Right now, it's we're keeping active with Home Brewing Co. and the Homebrewer SD. on like Instagram, Facebooks, and then we are. Everyone say hi to Xana.
Bye, Santa.
And then we're also we just forwarded the homebrewingco.com to the homebrewersd.com. So right now everything's just funneling into that, just so it would be easy to like post updates in one place and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, for as far as Instagram, Facebook, the Homebrewer SD, Homebrewing Co.
So, have you been to any places that have opened? Like, have you drank anywhere? Or are you waiting?
I haven't yet. We've been pretty, I guess, cautious with it. Not necessarily for our own health, but just because I do have to interact with customers still. I feel like I feel a sense of responsibility to limit my exposure and not become a conduit for other things.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, I haven't yet. I've been eating a lot of tribute pizza, like doing the pickup.
Well, they figured it out like the next day. Like they were ready.
That dude working his butt off in order to keep that going. Kudos to him.
Yeah, I think somebody asked me, they're like, oh, what brewery's doing like a really good job? I was, early on, and I was just like, I don't really know, but Tribute Pizza's fucking killing it. So
yeah, and then like fall, they did a good job of moving everything up to like to-goes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm anxious to see what's up with Tiger. I miss Tiger. There's like a handful of places that I just miss.
Yeah,
and Tiger is definitely one of those places. That was like my once or twice a week after work going and just like that's my Cheers bar basically.
Wherever your name.
Yeah, exactly. So I miss that.
Awesome.
But otherwise, I'll wait. I'll lay low.
Yeah.
And see how it goes.
Fair enough. Well,
how about you?
Oh, me? Well, Tiger sounds great. I feel like I went to Society a bunch when they first when they switched it out. Yeah, I'm not really ready to like go and sit and drink someplace because it just seems kind of weird still. I think when Bagby is like go up there because their spot is just so humongous that I think it would be easier to kind of sit separately and figure that out. I mean, Kairoa's upstairs seems, it's nice and outside. That would be something I would consider. But I've mostly been just like doing to-go like orders and pickups, and then ordering stuff from different places on Convoy Street. I've been eating a lot of noodles. So
nice.
Yeah,
noodles are good.
Noodles are great, and Arthur loves noodles, and I love noodles, and we are a noodly family.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for checking in. I would love to see you IRL soon, but this was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thank you.
And all right, well, cheers, and I'll see you later.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Santa.
Bye.
All right, that was the crew at Home Brewing Company. I'm glad that they were able to hop on. And since I gave my ending spiel already, I'm just going to go. So anyway, I'm Beth Demon on behalf of the San Diego Brewers Guild. We do this every Wednesday from 3 till 4-ish. And if you would like to be featured on this or you would like to recommend somebody, please DM us. If you have a question or comment, you're already on the page, so you know where to find us. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Cheers.